everybody. Welcome to this episode of Liftoff Journeys. I'm so excited to have our next guest here. She is Samantha Barkho. We call her Sam. She was an intern for me when I was at Daily Pay. She's graduated and she's off to her first big job. We're so thrilled to have her on to talk about her journey through college, what she's done, where she's going, and how she's decided to make it where she's gotten to today. So welcome to the show, Sam. Hey everybody, welcome back to Lift Off Journeys. I'm Jeannie Walden, your host, and I'm here today with one of my favorite people on the entire planet, Sam Barkho. She is going to take us through her journey, which is very different than the other journeys that we've heard about on past episodes. Sam has recently graduated college. Congratulations. Dean's list, president list, like everything. She's gotten every accolade possible. And she's also had a great time looking for and finding full-time employment. I don't know if it's been so great the whole time, but Sam, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited. And yes, I did recently just graduate in December from Montclair State University. I studied business admin, concentrated in marketing, and I had a minor in business relationships and professional selling. And yes, throughout my time, I did, do 4 internships and as well, I was really involved in extracurriculars throughout my time in Montclair. So it was definitely a big journey. And, of course, graduating, it took a while and a lot of networking and, just a huge process, just really getting a job and landing one. And now I'm currently a junior marketing associate at L'Oreal for the brand Maybelline. So it has been really cool so far. I just started and I'm really excited to just kind of talk about everything today with that.
Great. Yeah, so I have so many questions for you, but first and foremost, did you switch to all Maybelline products?
Yes, actually, well, okay, so I've always been just so loyal to the brand in general. Like, I literally was so excited when I got this job because I was like, I already use that. Like, they literally have some of my favorite, like, foundations, mascaras. We all know the eye team is just so great at Maybelline, so I am just so excited. And of course, like, I have access to all the makeup now, so really great perk about it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's amazing. And so let's start at the end. You spent a lot of time and hard work getting this job.
Yeah.
You didn't just apply. You stalked people on LinkedIn. You networked like crazy. You called people that knew people. You called people that you knew a long time ago. Tell us like everything you had to do to land this role because it's a story I think everybody needs to hear.
Yeah, of course. So, obviously the job market right now is crazy tough. And just recently, as a recent graduate, you're going to be dealing with, really saturated market, a lot of people who are doing the same thing as you, who might have similar experiences to you. And for me, I really wanted to put myself out there. So I took the time throughout basically all those times when I graduated and even while I was in school still too, just to reach out to people, network with them, and just set up like a time just to chat with them, learn a little bit more about their career journey, and just get any advice I could, get from them, just that would really help me out, learn a lot more about the brand itself, the company, the industry, the interview process. And I reached out to so many people on LinkedIn. I got ghosted so many times and it was tough. And it took, a lot of following up, a lot of, just reaching back out to different people connecting me with different types of people. And finally from there, I was able to really connect with the HR people, but it took time. And I definitely will say when you are graduating, you really want to make sure you can have that recommendation or just have someone connect you to someone, because especially when it's a really big brand, they get thousands and thousands of applicants a day. So it's really hard to stand out in that sense. So it took, I think I messaged probably about like 50 people. And from even before that, I set up like 2 different coffee chats with 2 people. And, I reached out to cousins who had family and just all of this different stuff and friends. And it really was a big process, but, obviously it was worth it in the end. And I feel like if you are really passionate about something or getting into a certain industry, you got to work for it a little bit. And, I'm just really glad I took that process to network and just put myself out there. And it's, it's not easy to get a job, but at the end of the day, when you really take the time to get to know people and just really, see and learn more about the industry itself, you will go pretty far. It takes time. It took a couple months, but, obviously it was worth it. So.
Yeah, Absolutely. But outside of this job, you had applied for other jobs that you made it all the way till the end to, and then I think you said you were told that the jobs were no longer open. The company just changed their mind.
Yeah. And so, while I was even going through interview process, because I had, gone through multiple interviews for previous jobs as well. And this was even the month before I graduated. And I was getting pretty far along in some interview processes where then I would find out the job was canceled due to the market. And then I had another chance for, a job opportunity with also a very large brand. And unfortunately, they just decided not to go with me because of my graduation date. And it was just always timing. So it was crazy because every single time I got really close, something happened. And it just kind of brought me right back to square one. And, definitely when you kind of go through, either like denials or just, the opportunities kind of getting like taken away, it's a little bit of a setback, but you have to consistently tell yourself, okay, like, I know what I did to kind of get that far along the process. I just have to do it again. And you just have to really consistently remind yourself that it will be okay. It definitely was a very stressful process, especially, when it's with things and you think you're getting so far with certain companies and then it just doesn't work out. That definitely I think was very like hard on me. Because I was like, well, what am I doing wrong? Or what else can I do? And it was definitely a setback. But at the end of the day, I think everything does happen for a reason. And, something will always come out of anything. And it's always a learning experience no matter what. And I took all of those interviews that I did as a learning process for myself. So even after, certain interviews and I got really far, I was like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe next time when I have an interview, I can change my pitch. I can change my elevator pitch about myself. I can, do this instead. So even if you have an interview and it doesn't work out the best, it's always just still a really good learning process for yourself. And just it kind of gives you a consistent confidence boost because now you know what, I've done this before and I can do it again. So yeah.
I think that's great. And it's such great advice. But you were pretty strategic. Like you even decided to
Yeah.
graduate early so that you could get a
Yes.
head start on competition in the job market. And you did 4 internships while you were in school. Tell me a little bit about like when you entered college, A, did you know what you wanted to do when you graduated? B, did it change along the way? And C, were you like straight from the beginning, I'm going to have internships. I'm just going to knock it out of the park. I want to have every advantage possible. Or did something happen like first, end of freshman semester? Tell me about how you ended up where you are.
This is Prospire's Soaring to New Health podcast. I'm your co-host, Chris Mladenovic.
And I'm your co-host, Dan Krogan. Whether you work in the payer or provider side of the healthcare industry, or are a client or a friend of Prospire, you're sure to learn something new every month when you tune in.
Yeah, of course. So I like to call myself like a COVID college kid. It's kind of funny because I actually only had one full year in person in college. And so my freshman year was when COVID hit, and I actually went online. And throughout that time, when I first entered into college, I knew I wanted to do creative, the creative side of marketing or just anything in, the digital space. I already knew that's what I wanted to do. When I was looking into different majors, there was the communication side and then there was the business side. Just for personally, after reading an insight, about what's more in the communication side and what's more into the business side, at the time, I decided that the business degree would be like a good kind of backup for me, just in case, later on in life, if I wanted to change career paths, there's a lot more flexibility with that. So that was kind of where I decided, but I knew I was a creative person in general, which is why I just knew marketing was going to be for me. Immediately when I got into college, I will say that I was like your typical, like, could not sit still type person. Like, I always had to be busy. I right away got involved with the marketing organization on campus, fell in love with it. I joined the executive board right then and there. And then throughout COVID, that actually helped me out so much because I was able to network with so many students online because we kept our meetings and organization running throughout, the lockdown. And it really helped a lot of students just connect and really give them a little bit more motivation for the school aspect because it was really hard, switching to fully online after being in, in person. So I will say by doing all of that, it really kept me motivated to really just learn more about marketing, which is then when I figured that if I'm going to go into a very, saturated type of market, a lot of people study marketing. It's, pretty competitive for the most part. I knew I needed experience prior to graduating. Immediately during COVID, I tried to apply to so many internships just to try to see. I wasn't hearing back from a lot, but I did get, through networking, which it always comes back through networking. I actually went back and I got a PR internship was the first one I did. And then from there on, my junior year, I really wanted to step it up. I wanted something in person. And I really wanted just to learn in-person marketing in a more structured type of way. PR was a great background experience just to have, and I'm really grateful I got to do that. But I knew marketing was more of the realm I wanted to learn. So I feel like through learning different types of things, it kind of helped guide me to know what I liked about marketing, what I liked about like the more communication side, business side. And doing internships was what helped me learn that. So then I did a brand marketing internship with Daily Pay in the summer, and I learned a lot about brand marketing. I learned a lot about, the legal aspects, a lot more of the corporate side of it. And I feel like that was a really good learning experience for me. And it taught me a lot about, how I would be working in an actual job. And I think that was really great experience. From there on, I didn't want to stop. And I actually got a fourth internship from there. It was through Java Love Coffee Co. I worked that throughout my junior year. And I was doing social media marketing for them. And I actually helped blow up their TikTok, which is where I found a great love for social media in the digital space. I absolutely love it. I think that was what really helped spike my creativity, that type of thing. I really learned from there, what I really liked about digital marketing. And then from there, I ended it with Allied Global Marketing, and I did a internship with Amazon Prime Video. And that was really cool. We worked a lot with, partnerships, and I learned a lot, especially about that area. I did not dive into it. So now I know I like partnerships too. And so throughout that time, it was a lot of a learning process, but I did want to have that motivation to do that. Not everyone wants to work, a bunch of jobs. Not everyone wants to do extracurriculars on top of schoolwork. Everyone has their different types of learning process. But for me, by doing internships and leadership positions, that was what taught me what I actually wanted to do. So I think that was really helpful. And it also taught me a lot about, managing my time. And it was really helpful just because, in school we were online, and then it was a big adjustment. So I will say by doing all that, it was well worth it. I took the initiative to do that myself. And I would definitely recommend, if you're going into college, take that step. There was a lot of it where I was like, can I handle it? Can I not handle it? There was a lot of times where it was just so stressful where I was like, should I just quit and give up now? But, at the end of the day, it was worth it because I did find my love for marketing through that. And, I would not take it back for anything in the world. So, yeah.
That's great. That's great. So, I have two kids that are still in college. Question that we talk about all the time. Do you hold out for an internship or a job in a field that you think you might want to have, or do you go get just business experience anywhere like Starbucks, Target, Rite Aid, just to get business experience? What do you think?
Yeah, I think no matter what experience you have is good experience. I worked in retail for literally 4 years, all throughout high school and the first 2 years of college. And I learned a lot about the sales side and working with customers and the in-person, factor of that. You learn a lot from that, especially in retail. You learn about how to work with different people. You learn about how to work with a team. It teaches you a lot of people skills, which I think is a really great necessity that a lot of employers will look for. So that experience, let alone just because it's not, a big name internship, it's going to teach you a lot about hard work and working with a team. So I think that's still a great experience to have, no matter what it is. And just in general, with internships as well, it gives you, yes, that foot in the door, but you can also do things on your own. So for example, I did freelance work on my time where I just worked with local businesses throughout my college, and I helped them out with their social media planning because I knew I was good at it. I knew I loved it. And, I worked on my own time, which was nice. And, it was a great way for me to get experience, but, on my own time. So there's always options, I feel like, for anyone out there. if you're not too sure. But any business experience you can get will still train you no matter what job you have, because it's all people skills, all necessary skills I think any employer will want from you.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so next question. What is the secret to TikTok? Because my TikTok that I just started when I started getting ready for the show has like, I don't know, not that many followers. And this is what I've learned. If I try and post something that I actually think about, nobody likes it.
Yep.
If I post a picture of Vince doing something funny or silly, it goes crazy and everybody like hearts it and I get all these comments. So, in your opinion, since you've been able to like master TikTok, what is the secret of TikTok?
I will say that is so true. Every single person I've ever talked to always say it's always the videos like I put so much effort into, and then the random ones will blow up. And that's even happened to me too, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. And it's so true. But I will say when you're on the TikTok space, that is a much more relatable content space. I will say, yes, there are a lot of, creative people who put in very, high quality videos in there, but that is their very specific niche. And there's only a very specific type of group of people who would want to watch those type of videos. For the most part, when people are on TikTok, they want to just see fun, relatable content. I will say there is a big difference from what I've just seen personally through like Instagram Reels and TikTok. I would say Instagram Reels would be a lot more like professional and more creative side type of thing. And then TikTok is a lot more the relatable space. So when you are on TikTok, you have to consistently make sure you're being up to date with trends. If it's just your personal self, obviously that's pretty easy. You don't have to worry about, on the legal side of anything. But, I would say keeping up with trends. And a lot of people are really starting to like when big name companies or just anything that, any product they start to use are starting to do like a lot more relatable and fun content. So like a trend or just like these little silly filters that TikTok might have. There was like a random auto body shop I saw that like blew up on TikTok, and it's just like a small business owner, and it was just because they used some random filter. And then now, because that blew up, all these companies are following it and people love it just because it's something funny to relate to. And also just I think a lot more sitting down talking type of videos. People like just seeing routines. It kind of makes them feel motivated. As we can see, the Get Ready With Me's have blown up like crazy. And the reason being behind that is just because it all goes back to being relatable and funny and nothing serious. When you're going on TikTok, you don't want to really see a bunch of ads. They don't want to see anything, people, promoting too much stuff. They want to see it being relatable, which is why the influencer industry as well, from what I've seen, whenever there's a lot of paid promotion, paid ads, there's always that joke like, oh, okay, yeah, go get that bag, which means like, oh, okay, go get your money, But at the end of the day, when people see realistic reviews, just relatable content, things that will actually help motivate them, that resonates a lot with a lot more people. So when you are going into that space, you just have to think of how can I actually directly connect to, who I'm trying to connect to in the audience. So am I trying to really be relatable? Am I trying to promote my product? How can I use my product then in a more realistic way? If I was the consumer watching it, what would I actually want to see? So definitely, if you do that, obviously with the consistent posting times, the scheduling, the hashtags, the trends, the sounds, the logistics beyond that, content wise, that would definitely help you a lot. So
Awesome. I'm going to put all that to use, and everybody that's listening, you now got your first official creator advisor session for free. So you have to give all the creds to Sam after your TikTok blows up too. So, all right. So, next question, to go back to what you learned through all these internships. Can you think of like one or two things that you learned about business, not about any specific company, but just about like what it's like to be in a business role that surprised you? I remember in my first job, I had not appreciated how important it was to um, be nice to everybody, because you never know who's going to end up being your boss or where you're going to get transferred. And building those relationships in the beginning is so critical. I also didn't realize how important my teaching background was to any type of leadership role that I had, and being able to just leverage those same types of inspirational tips to help lead teams and groups as I started to move up in my career.
Yeah, I so relate to that. I totally understand that. And I completely agree with that. You really never know how one person you might come across one day will be such a great help to you later on. And I definitely think one thing I've learned and I've seen just like a pattern throughout my time is just the management style and like working with a team. And what that means is that kind of transferred, from me being a leader, at Montclair State with my marketing organization and then into internships and working with the team. When you're working with different people, there's such a great way to personally connect with them, especially say if you are a higher up, working, with a manager, anything along those lines. I think there's a really great impact you can have on someone when, you make your connection a little bit more personable with them, not just here's your work, get it done, give it to me by a deadline type of thing. When you really ask them about their day more, you really build a little bit of that relationship to create more of a trust aspect. I really think then it makes going to work more enjoyable. When you're working with a team and you're communicating with people, communication is such a big factor. When you're listening to someone speak, you're making eye contact, you're really listening. I would say the people skills have been definitely the most important aspect, when working with a team, for sure.
That's great. That's awesome. Okay, so last question. Do you have any idea where you want to be in 10 years from now? 10 years is a long time away. Or do you just want to go get more experience, figure out what you like, and continuously take advantage of opportunities? Where do you see yourself going?
Yeah, of course. So, obviously right now I just started my career journey, but from what I've learned, I definitely see myself in a managerial position, ideally in the social or brand side. I really like the idea of like looking over a campaign, or just social strategies on the digital side. I think every single internship I've had, I've noticed that's always my strongest interest. And especially now with just the digital age and like where everything in marketing is going, I think being a social media manager or a brand manager will be definitely, I think, one of the most top careers, I think, in 10 years in marketing, just with how the digital space is really changing. And you already see now how much brands heavily rely on their social managers too, as well. So I definitely would say for that aspect and just, ideally hopefully working, for a big brand where I could do that and just put my creative eye in that space. I think I will not leave the creative side of the industry. I will always have, that aesthetic eye people will talk about. And I definitely could see myself going into that. And it's hard, you never know what life might change or where my life might take you. But at the end of the day, I think it's great to have, that ultimate goal of where do I want to be and where do I want to end up and where do I want to work myself up to? Having that goal set and that mindset, I think makes everything and all the hard days, the hard working days, just a lot more worth it. Yeah.
I love it. This has been such a great conversation, Sam. Thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy day and your brand new career to chat with me and to chat with everybody who's watching Lift Off Journeys to get an idea of inspiration for the future. And so if you're out there and you're just looking for your first job or you're still in college and you're getting ready to graduate, this is great advice for you. And watch it a bunch of times. If you're already in an existing business, in your career, go back and re-listen to that TikTok thing and go start a TikTok account if you don't have one. Build it up for your brand. All right, Sam. Woo! All right, thanks, Sam. Talk to you later.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye.